Demand that your money be moved? Don't let me tell you that this is a bad idea? Sure. Some of you might recall that financial crisis that happened a bit back, circa 2008-ish. At the time, I was working in a call center for retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. For any non-Americans, these are plans from your employer where you can contribute a portion of your salary. And usually they will also contribute something as well to save for retirement. This is probably the biggest way that Americans save for the end. As the account holder, you have control over how the money is invested, usually from a small selection of different mutual funds. Also, about the call center, I had some experience. I knew what I was talking about and was able to speak with confidence in my voice. Therefore, I was on the escalated line. This is reserved for the people who want to talk to a manager. I was not a manager, but I and others like me got these calls. In some rare cases, we actually fixed a problem, but more often than not, just told the customer the same thing they had just heard from the first rep, only with that level of confidence. Then they hung up as a happy customer. We also had the ability to review previous calls to the center. So, one day in April of 2009, an irate client was transferred to me. He had just gotten his quarterly financial statement, showing that he was invested in several different funds that were affected by the stock market. His complaint was that he had called a month earlier to request that his stock market-based investments be moved to something more stable and less risky. At that time, the news was all doom and gloom, leading people to make majorly ill-informed financial decisions. This didn't happen. As I reviewed the transaction history on his account, I confirmed that whoever he had spoken to previously had only redirected new contributions into stable funds, but had made no change to any existing balance. I told the gentleman that I could review the call, and if our representative had made a mistake, adhere to his wishes. I then tried to say something else, but was quickly cut off. Yes. Review that call. I want my money out of the market. I try to say something like, okay. But sir, only to be cut off again. This was not a man with a small account balance. At the time it was 500k plus, meaning that at the beginning of the crisis, he probably had around 1 mil in his account. I reviewed the call, and yes, our representative had made a mistake. I went through the process to retroactively conduct his requested transactions. The rep got a negative mark on his record for making a mistake. But the customer really got the short end. For those that don't know, the low point in the market was in early March of that year. Many stocks and markets rebounded enormously and very quickly. What I wanted to tell the guy was something like, Fund A is up 28% since the day you made that call. Fund B is up 32%. And so on. But, as he didn't give me the chance to tell him to think about his request. Well, that is why I am posting here. As my company had to backdate his transactions, he instantly lost about 150k in his account, and missed out on the boom. Of course, he called later to complain. But, even after our mistake, we had done exactly as he had asked. I hope he is enjoying his retirement. Sir, if you don't listen to me I will do what you're asking. This reminds me about an anecdote I read a long time ago about the stock market plunge back in 1987. A fellow of modest income had been socking away money in a retirement account with a brokerage his whole working life, but hadn't really paid much attention to it. Day after the drop, he anxiously called his broker to see how long he would have to postpone his imminent retirement. Upon being told what his account balance was, he hung up the phone and started jumping up and down and laughing and celebrating. Even with the previous day's plunge, he was still much wealthier than he had realized. It's also true that despite that severe plunge, the stock market in 1987 actually gained a little bit over the course of the calendar year. It took a couple years to get back to the high that it had experienced in that year. But anybody who rode it out was fine, provided they were properly diversified. Of course, human nature is to buy when things are high and panic and sell when things are low. Fidelity had a study that found the people whose 401 kiloseconds did the best were the people who forgot they had it and died. I've seen this happen so many times it makes my head spin. Friends in the financial sector invested a week before a major market drop. Rather than sit it out, they cashed out losing 30% plus. Had they stayed in another month, they would have been all square and back to making a good return on their investments. There are just some people you should just listen to. Your cashier at the grocery store, your retirement account representative. Those of us with experience generally know what we are talking about and can affect positive change. I know a guy who torpedoed his retirement this way. Multiple times he left the market near the bottom and bought back in well into the upswing. Literally always sold low, bought high, buy high, sell low, or something like that. People need to remember that, for the most part, those gains or losses are only imaginary, until it comes time to cash them in. Edit. Reworded a couple things. Thank you for explaining what a 401 400 is. Hang on a second. As my company had to backdate his transactions, he instantly lost about $150K in his account, and missed out on the boom. What exactly does this mean? Day 1 guy requests money to be moved. Day 2 stock market falls. Day 28 stock market is back up. Guy calls to enforce the money move. How does moving his money on day 28 have him instantly lose $150K? I feel like you're saying you had to go back to his account balance on day 1 and basically simulate how his money would behave throughout those 28 days. And whatever the calculated amount for day 28 is now his new account balance. But I don't think that's legal. Mistakes happen. The stock market does not wait for anyone. I think either your company is liable to pay him the difference because an employee made a mistake, or he got lucky that no one initiated the day 1 move. Please explain. I had a retirement account with Schwab and was moving it to a new place to consolidate the various accounts I'd accumulated over the years. Turns out I'd gotten out of all the mutual funds, stocks in it right before a market correction happened, preventing me from losing quite a bit of value on the funds. Blind luck. This makes me regret not buying Games stock shares in 2019-2020 when they were low. Working with our advisor to figure out how much risk to take in our plan. It's a simple number. Between 8 and 15 years in the fixed income account, NPV. The rest is in equities, expected to grow over time and replenish the fixed income account when the market is good. 2 questions. 1. What is the mean time for market recovery following a crash? Notionally 3 years. 2. What is the longest time for market recovery following a crash? About 6.75 years. Just play the long game. That happened a bit back, circa 2008-ish. One day in April of 2009. This threw me off. What happened here? Sudden regained clarity lol. Perfect MC here. I just wish it was more money he missed out on. Kudos. My guy. I bought a house outright for $570,000 in October 2005. This was huge for me. My first wife of 4 years. 4 months had passed away. leaving me with 2 young sons to raise while figuring out my career and college. And well, life. In college I met an amazing woman who eventually became my wife right as we went to court over the wrongful death suit on my first wife. It was a lengthy process, but the timing was insane. I think 570 was the highest it had ever been at the time, and for about 15 years afterward. Right after we purchased, it seemed to drop off a continental shelf, all the way down to $320,000. I panicked. I wanted to sell. I already lost $250,000 of money, the likes I've never seen before. My then and current wife soothed me by reminding me that we own this baby outright. They can't take it away no matter what. So I didn't sell. I stayed. I'm still there now, and just recently it's bounced back and then some. Around $790,000. No mortgage. I mean, over the years we did borrow against the house to fix it, but paid it back with my monetary cash cow that is teaching us. At any rate, I didn't listen to my instincts. And if it were anyone else talking to me, I wouldn't have listened. Marry smart, everybody. My retirement accounts have been a yo-yo of highs and lows with mutual funds over decades. The best stable investments I have been owning a rental, several, and always trading up in size and value. Not real liquid, true, but keeping up with inflation fairly well. Plus a source of income now. Insurance and taxes are terrible now. Sell low, buy high. It always amazes me when commercials advertise gold has never been higher. Buy today, and people fall for it. Is this AITA sub? Because you are an AH. Why would you purposely let someone lose $150K because you felt they were rude to you after they just lost half of their 401k?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.